Good day everyone. I am Jamaric Jesus Uriza from DCPET 3-3, and in this final video, we will be discussing a Supreme Court decision that highlights the serious dangers of online communication when misused, especially against the minors. With the widespread use of social media platforms like Facebook and Messenger, crimes that once happened in private spaces can now occur in the digital world, often hidden behind screens and online identities. So this case analysis focused on GR number 247348, or the Christian Cadahas y Cabias versus the people of the Philippines, decided by the Supreme Court in 2021 of November. So this landmark case examines how Philippine law protect the children from online sexual exploitation and clarifies that consent, online relationships, and digital privacy cannot be used as excuses when a minor is involved. So through this discussion, we will be discuss what the case is all about, review the important facts, identity the legal issues raised, explain the ruling of the Supreme Court, and reflect on the lessons we can learn from these decisions. So by the end of this video, we will see how the law firmly upholds the right of the children and why the misuse of technology carries serious legal consequences. So without further ado, let's start. So this case is all about the criminal responsibility of an adult who use online communication to induce a minor to create and send sexually explicit images. So the Supreme Court was asked to determine whether the accused could be held liable even if the minor allegedly sent the image voluntary and even if there was no physical sexual contact between them. So ultimately, this case emphasizes that the law gives paramount importance to the protection of minors, especially when technology is used as a means to exploit them. So the facts of the case show that the accused, Christian Cadahas y Cabias, was already 24 years old at the time of the incident, while the victim, referred to as AAA to protect her identity, was only 14 years old. So the two first came into contact through Facebook Messenger when the minor sent a friend request to the accused after seeing him in person near his workplace. So after accepting the request, the two began communicating regularly through Facebook Messenger, and their conversation eventually became personal and intimate. So over time, the accused persuaded and induced the minor to send him photographs showing her private parts. These images were transmitted through the Facebook Messenger. The situation came to the light when the minor's mother discovered the explicit messages and photos on her daughter's cell phone. In shock and alarm, the mother took screenshot of the conversation and the images as evidence. She then reported the incident to the authorities, which led to the filing of criminal cases against the accused for violation of the Anti-Child Pornography Act in relation to the Cybercrime Prevention Act. So during the trial, the accused denied criminal liability and claimed that the exchange of messages and photos was consensual. He argued that the minor willingly sent the images and that they were supposed in romantic or sweetheart relationship. He also questioned the admissibility of the screenshot, claiming that they violated his constitutional right to privacy of communication. And despite this argument, the trial court found that the prosecution was able to prove all the elements of the crime beyond reasonable doubt and thus convicted the accused. So this conviction was later affirmed by the Court of Appeals, prompting accused to elevate the case to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court identified several important issues in this case. First is it examined whether the accused could be held criminal liable for child pornography even if the sexually explicit images were sent voluntarily by the minor. Second, it's considered whether the consent or so-called sweetheart relationship could serve as valid defense. And third, it addressed whether the screenshot of the Facebook Messenger conversations were inadmissible because they were allegedly obtained in violation of accused rights to privacy. And in resolving these issues, the Supreme Court affirmed the conviction of Christian Cadajas y Cabias. The court ruled that all the elements of child pornography were clearly established. It explained that under the law, child pornography includes not only possession or distribution of explicit materials involving minors, but also the inducement or persuasion of a child to create such materials. So the court found that the Facebook messages showed that the accused actively encouraged the minor to send explicit photos, which is punishable under the Republic Act number 9775. So the Supreme Court firmly rejected that the accused argument that the minor consented to the act. So the court stressed that consent is completely irrelevant in this case involving child pornography because a minor is legally incapable of giving valid consent to sexual explicit acts or materials. Even assuming that the minor willingly sent the photos, the law still considered the act a crime because it involves sexual exploitation of a child. So the court further ruled that the romantic or sweetheart relationship, whether real or fabricated, does not exempt an adult from criminal liability when minor is involved. With regard to the alleged violation of the right to privacy, the Supreme Court ruled that the screenshots were admissible in evidence. It explained that the messages were discovered by the minor's mother on her child's phone and were accessed for the purpose of protecting the child from the abuse. So the court emphasized that the right to privacy cannot be used as a shield to conceal criminal acts, especially when the welfare and the safety of a child are at the stake. As a result of these findings, the Supreme Court upheld the penalty imposed on the accused, which was reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment. This severe penalty reflects the seriousness of crime involving child exploitation and the state commitment to protecting minors from abuse, particularly in the online environment. So there are several important key takeaways from this case. First, it clearly established that minors are given the highest level of protection under the law, and any form of sexual exploitation involving children will be punished severely. Second, the case highlights that technology and social media can be used as instrument of crime, and individuals who misuse these platforms will be held accountable. Third, it shows that the digital evidence, such as online messages and screenshot, can be powerful and admissible evidence in court when properly presented. Lastly, the case reinforced that the principle that the protection of children outweighs claim of privacy when criminal activity is involved. And as we come to an end of this case analysis, Cadajas versus People of the Philippines remind us that the law strongly protects minors from all forms of sexual exploitation, whether committed in person or through digital platform. So this case make makes it clear that the consent, online relationship, and claims of privacy cannot excuse criminal acts when child is involved. And in an age where technology plays a major role in everyday life, this decision serves as a warning that social media and online messaging platforms are not beyond the reach of the law. It also emphasizes that the responsibility of adults to act with integrity and the duty of society to safeguard children from abuse, especially in cyberspace. Ultimately, this Supreme Court ruling reinforced the principle that the protection of children will always take precedence over the defense of offenders. It is a powerful reminder that justice must adapt to modern technology while remaining firm in upholding human dignity and the rule of the law. Thank you for watching, and I hope the discussion helped you better understand the legal and social importance of this case. And as Truman Show said,
in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah.